Hello, everyone. Welcome to Four Lads Rangers podcast. This is an extra podcast, purely because some things have happened today. There was a forum meeting with Andrew Cavanagh, which I attended, and I'll try and give you as much information from that as I possibly can. Nothing was off the table again, so we'll tell you all about that, as well as some signing news. Just as we were, I wouldn't say moaning, I would say discussing lovingly last night, Kenny. They go and give us a double signing today. And of course, it wouldn't be Rangers without some pretty catastrophic injury news also. So there's lots to do. I hope you don't mind your two favourite bald people, Right Said Fred, or whatever it is you want to call us. We are here, Kenny. It's always a pleasure to have you on, my go-to guy on this podcast, mate. How are you?
Aye, not bad, mate. A bit confused when you turned and said to me when I said, I'll jump on with you, what time do you want to go? And you said 6:15. That was in 20 minutes when I was still in my work.
I meant
And,
7:15, man. Honestly. It's
and
difficult being a leader, Kenny. You know what I mean? Mistakes
is it?
happen.
And then you said 7. And then you said, no, we'll just leave it. And then you said, no, we're going on. So we're here. And I'm looking forward to this, actually, because I was busy all day and I haven't seen too much of it. So you're going to inform me of plenty myself. So looking forward to it, mate.
Yeah. So obviously there's the big categories to discuss. The forum with Andrew Cavanagh, the big signing news. We are close to signing two players, and Connor Barron and Dujon Sterling amongst what is pretty bad injury news. What order will we do them in? I think we'll start with a roundtable meeting today. The fan engagement team were there: Greg, Marshall, and Calvin as well. Fraser Thornton, Andrew Cavanagh, Greg Mailer, James Taylor, and there was fan representatives. So the likes of your Fab were there, and people like that. Fan media were there. Four Lads of the Dream, Heart and Hand, Follow, and This is Ibrox, all represented. Andrew Cavanagh opened up, talked about the squad improvement, talked about the search for the CEO being ongoing, talked about their desires in the transfer market, Kenny. No matter what had happened in the league, we would have been active in January. But he went on, not on this bit, but later on, to stress that he wants four things for this club in the January transfer window: a left back, which we know we're close to getting. He wants pace, power, and a ball carrier, or more energy in midfield, which we also know we're close to getting now as well. And he wants a couple of options in the forward areas because we need, by his own expression, more goals. So Andrew Cavanagh was fantastic, gave up 90 minutes of his time, encouraged it. He also quite clearly stated that the focus is on the Rangers men's team. It's on the squad on the pitch. It's all great having fanciful ideas with stadiums and everything else, but they have to get it right on the pitch. He admitted it's been a bumpy start for him, but everything now is geared towards the men. So that is what other areas of the club now, and include the women's team, it includes the academy, everything. They have to accept and work around the fact that the Rangers men's team and what's going on with the first team has to be priority for absolutely everything. So that is the way he wants it. He wants the DNA of the club. He wants the fans to see that in themselves as well. He spoke about the CEO being, he wants a CEO that knows the Scottish game, that also knows the politics of the Scottish game, and knows what's required and is prepared to get his fingernails dirty to do so. He says he might not get all three, but they'll get as close to that as he can. So that was his kind of opening, Kenny, which he kind of he spoke about, and then they opened it up to kind of fan questions. But what I will say again, Kenny, is that Andrew Cavanagh is a hugely impressive gentleman. Speaks well, has a really business like to him. You can feel a presence of him, which I like about him. but he's not scared to have a laugh, which I also had with him as well, which I'll tell you about. But I really like him. I think he's got the best intentions for the football club, but we just have to see how it unravels. So that's how he opened, Kenny.
Yeah, very interesting, because on this podcast, you and I in particular have been saying this, that first and foremost, he has to get the squad right. He has to get the team on a pitch right. The men's team, the first team, is the all important thing. Everything else can follow. I've read a little bit of what he said, and I noticed that I think he said something. I don't know if it was him, but I think it was him that said something about we've been acting like a Premiership club, when actually, when you know, that's, and I suppose what he means by that is that you're trying to do everything all at the one time, and we don't have £150 million a season of TV money coming in, so you have to prioritise. So that's good news that he's been here, that, you know, 6 months, 7 months now, and he's figured that out, that the first team is the most important thing, and everything else will follow. However, some of the things that he said really, you know, have really impressed me, where there is an understanding of where the football club is at this minute in time, and the signings situation, that's music to my ears. It's manna from heaven almost. You know, that he's listening to Danny Rule and the staff that are there, and actually understanding when they say this is what we need, he's actually went, yeah, I get it, and we'll get you, which is fantastic, because, excuse me, I think it's one of those things that this window was so important for the football club, because, as you say, we probably would have went into the market anyway. However, getting exactly what's required to go on and kick on from here to the end of the season is really important. Other stuff that he said, that you've mentioned there, I get, and he talks perfect sense all the time to me. I've been fortunate enough, when I was with you, I met him maybe 6, 7 weeks ago, whatever it was now, and he's a commanding figure, isn't he? He really is. He's one of those guys that you look at, and I'm not saying he's intimidating, because he doesn't come across that way, but he's got a stature about him that is really quite imposing. I suppose that's the way I would say it. And fair play to him, because I totally agree with you. I just look at him, listen to him, heard what he said, and kind of do understand that there's no doubt in my mind that he has the best interests of the club at heart, and that's what he's looking to do, is improve us in any way he can, but with that understanding that the first team, the men's team, is where it will start, and then it will filter down from there. So that's good to hear, Stevie. That's what I would say.
Yeah, it was explained like that as well. He didn't say that other areas are going to be disbanded or not looked after. He said that priority comes to the first team, and then that success, everyone else feeds off of that, which is how it should be. Getting into the questions, folks, we'll just get straight into them. Update on the CEO, which basically I gave you. Be a leader, understand Scottish football, understand the landscape of it. So he had admitted to talking to various amounts of people, including blue chip people, big named people, and that won't sway them in getting who they feel is the right person. Nobody was specifically mentioned, such as, did they turn around and say Jim Gillespie and Keith Lashley will be at Rangers? No. In fact, I don't think they were mentioned by name at all. They did admit to having conversations with various people. There was no clear indication that any appointment was imminent, or they were set to announce or do anything. So that's kind of where he was on the CEO. Merchandise availability abroad, they're working to expand things. A lot of these questions, the answers they gave were stock answers, what I would call them. And they basically said what I think you would want us to hear. Something that did come in, David asked this question of Heart and Hand, and investment was important for the club. Where are we on FFP concerns? There has been a rule change. James Taylor explained it. an accumulated amount in capital of what we bring in a year, which, say, for it talking off the top of my head, is 100 million. That now gives us headroom because it's incremental. Because of against the losses, they've slightly changed it. So what that means is Rangers are well below the radar in terms of FFP and those rulings. And there's also loads of headroom because I think 70% is your squad cut off in wages, and we're well within 50. So Rangers are actually in a very good position. We were, and they didn't deny that a couple of years ago, on the landscape, I suppose you would call it, of UEFA and things like that. We're nowhere near that now.
The watch list or something they called it, wasn't it?
Yeah,
at the time?
I didn't know the right word for it, landscape. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I mean. We were on that kind of periphery or whatever. So that is not the case now. And just till I bring my notes up again, that gave me reassurance. What also is that when they bring in investment like they did in the summer, the 20 odd million and stuff as well, that counts towards a positive thing as well. Reading between the lines, would they do that again this summer? I think probably that's what they're looking at, Kenny. So that was there. There was a couple other questions. Middle East fan rep, soccer academy close to Abu Dhabi. Like, where are we? And they basically said they lost money on these things, and they wouldn't relaunch them until they became profitable for the football club. The way I took it today basically is that the priority is now absolutely men's team, getting it right on the pitch, and then they will expand out and other things. So I think that kind of comes from that. He met with 6 former Rangers players recently. Some will be employed at the club as scouts. Some will be employed at the club as ambassadors. Some don't have a role to play, but he is looking to be. Some will be youth scouts, youth academy coaches and things like that as well. He wants that DNA in the football club, and he thinks we're missing that. He didn't go into names. He didn't, for example, say Lee McCulloch is that person. But he did talk about that, Kenny, and that gives you a kind of, that's where we were up until the kind of middle questions of stuff that was said.
Yeah, again, that's music to my ears again, because that kind of thing is absolutely paramount for me, is having Rangers people round about the football club that all the staff can bounce off, but the younger players, the players that turn up here and maybe don't fully understand what it's all about, and they get a guidance from people that can give a helping hand, can lead them in the right direction, because ours is a football club where, you know yourself, mate, we've seen it this season already. If it's not going well, you just get engulfed and swamped in it, and it's too difficult, I think, at times for young lads that are just turning up in a new country, at a new club, a new environment, everything about it, and they've got to turn around and perform to the best of their ability. And I do genuinely feel that a wee word in their ear at times, and taking them out for a coffee or a beer or a lunch or whatever it's going to be, and sitting them down and just saying, look, this is all it's going to take for you to just settle down and play your own game and stuff like that. Because, I mean, Mikey Moore's discussed this as well. He's a prime example of a young boy who gets his own wee pad, gets his own wee gaff, and he's turning around talking about how he's having to fend for himself and cook for himself. And he was quite lonely at the start, because there's nothing about trying to embrace the situation that you're in, because you're a young man trying to settle in and you're not getting results, and the media and the fans are all over the place. So I think that personally is a cracking idea, that the more the merrier. Now, they've all got to do a job, they've got to have a role, and they've got to merit a salary or whatever. But at the same time, for me, it's an absolute essential. On the other stuff, stuff like the Middle East and stuff like the tie-ins that we've had before with Indian clubs and Orange County and stuff like that, I couldn't care less. I've always felt this, that I don't see what's in it for us. unless it's a profitable thing, unless you're making money out of it, there is no logical explanation or reason why you would do it. So again, it comes back to what Andrew Cavanagh said in the first question, is that the priority is the first team, and everything else will filter down from there. So again, that is absolutely delighted to hear it, mate. I think that's common sense. It's logical, and in a business sense, it is absolutely nailed on the correct thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, question 6 was for myself. I had a bit of a laugh with Andrew Cavanagh first, because last time I spoke to him, and you know this because I've said it on podcasts before, we discussed Yusuf Chermiti and the 8 million not being a lot of money, and he was prepared to pay it, and he feels that's where we should be in the market, and he feels that we will do that again. And he was robustly defending Yusuf Chermiti. So I basically asked him how big his balls were after he rammed in a couple at Parkhead at the weekend. And he said, he very much did defend Yusuf Chermiti, but it's still up to Yusuf to go and do it on the park, so he can give you the guidelines. And he kind of gave you that angle. And then he said, but Stevie, I knew that I was coming on to this meeting, and I knew that somebody would ask this question. So I was absolutely delighted to see him ramming a couple at the weekend. It was funny the way he said it and stuff like that. So he gave you the correct vision or a correct answer about why he said it, and then he gave you a wee insight into the kind of comedy value of Andrew Cavanagh. So it was quite nice. But what I wanted to ask Andrew Cavanagh, what was his vision for the football club, Kenny? And I felt that was quite important, because we've heard a lot, right? And, we can sit here and say he does have plans to do hospitality, he does have plans to do stadium, he does have plans to sign players and everything else. We could say all that, right? But we're saying it in blind faith. I wanted to know what his vision were, and his vision was quite clear: winning sustainably. He wants trophies and leagues year in, year out. He knows that it can't happen every year, but he wants Rangers to be in the very best position that can happen. And at the very least, we're challenging up until final days. He said that the commercial business needs to be improved and needs to be stronger. And they want to have a strong men's team where they can pick up the best talent and trade and stuff like that. So the trading model needs to be mixed. He understands all that. And he was very positive, but his outlook for the football club is to basically take it to where he feels it should be and where we all feel it's done. So and he said to me, he's like, follow up if you get any kind of specifics on that. So I asked him, I said, what about the blue chip companies, such as, we've heard the name Red Bull being floated about. Would you consider investment? Would you consider sponsorship? And the single answer was yes, depending on what their intentions were for the football club. Why did they want to invest? So what were they expecting? Why did they why would they get involved, and what was, if it was right for Rangers? If it was right for Rangers and they were going to progress the football club, then he would speak to anyone. And he said he used not only Red Bull, but he said Coca-Cola, he said Toyota as well, as examples of he would speak to anyone if their intentions for the football club would help them expand and get. Are they actively looking for investment? I took from it, no. Would they turn it down? Are they open to anything that will improve the football club? Yes. So that's what I took from that. And then I asked them as well, I said, what about the regeneration of Ibrox? Is it lip service? Because we've heard this for year upon year and nothing ever seems to be happening. I want to know if your intentions are that you are actually going to do this. And it is absolutely targeted the office space in the Sandy Jardine, as well as the Broom Loan and the Copeland. We spoke about this before. Potentially a lot more hospitality could be going in there to help enhance match days. And it looks like, again, they're seriously looking into, because he mentioned it, the expansion of Ibrox in 4,400 seats, which would be the lowering of the pitch and the adding on of the surrounding kind of stands around that. I get the impression from his wording today that is the route that we're going to go down, and that is where he sees the expansion of Ibrox. Doing that would take us to a 57,500 capacity compared to the 52.5-ish that we're at the moment. So that's where we need to be. Our biggest rivals across the road have already got a 8,000 capacity start on us, so we need to eat into that and help our finances as well. Logically, considering the amount of times he's mentioned that, and they are seriously looking into it, was his wording today, I think that's where we're going to be. So that was what I asked him about his vision for the football club. He wants to bring in big players. He wants to be competing. He wants to have stability. He wants Rangers to be winning trophies and competing year in, year out. That's what he said. He does have plans to do commercial stuff. He does have plans to do hospitality, and he does have plans to regenerate Ibrox. I genuinely think, Kenny, in regards to asking like the chairman of the football club, the partial owner of the football club, his vision, I don't think he could have given you a better answer in terms of, he's not made any promises, but that's his vision for the football club.
Yeah, and I don't think he is paying any kind of lip service to it. I genuinely believe that he sees the potential in the football club and wants to maximise that. And that's why he will be turning around and being quite honest when he says, companies like Red Bull or Toyota or Coca-Cola or whoever it's going to be, they're blue chip, they're top tier blue chip companies. And you'd be an absolute lunatic to ignore companies like that if they want to get involved with your business. So he's not a stupid man. He's not a billionaire for nothing, mate. He's very clever. And to that degree, I think you have to trust him when it comes to investment and trust in him as a very experienced and successful businessman. That I don't think he would lead us into anything that would cause us any harm or damage. So, and he's reiterated that yet again on the stadium. I think the way he put it as well was that I think he caveated that with the fact that the football team will come first and everything else will follow. I've said to you before many times, I think that the hospitality of the football club needs a massive overhaul. I think without being too disrespectful about it, I could turn around and say that I went with a lot of hospitality in the 90s and stuff like that, mate. And when I go in now, it's not changed. It's still the same kind of thing that we do. And you turn around and say it's 30 years later, and hospitality, it should be slightly more modern than it is. And when I say that, I don't want to come across that I'm disrespecting the job or anything like that. The hospitality department do that. It's brilliant. It is fantastic. But as I've said to you before, there's stuff like almost like a family section for hospitality. I think we're missing a trick there. I think it's a license to print money. There is you've got the likes of the Blue Sky Lounge, which is slightly more casual. You've got your museum. You've got all these different things. And I think you can expand that with the amount of space that we have. You mentioned that there, the Sandy Garden and stuff like that. There is masses of space that we could use for hospitality, and that's the good thing about it is that the owners have kind of pinpointed that as a potential in the football club, and I'm quite looking forward to seeing what the kind of actual plan is on the capacity. We know it. We've said it for years. And if you can build down effectively, that is the most natural and sensible way to do it for me. It's also the most cost-effective and economical way to do that. But what we have in comparison to just about any other football club in Scotland here at this minute in time, Stevie, is that we've got the potential to do that. We've got the potential to build on 3 other stands. Certainly the 2 smaller stands at the ends, the Copeland and the Brunland. We have a potential to do that in time. I'm not saying at any time in the near future, but there's no other club in the country has the potential to do that. And that's where I was actually talking to a guy today and actually said that I can see if the vision that Andrew Cavanagh and the 49ers have was to come to fruition, I could see us being very, very successful in 2 or 3 years' time in every aspect of the business, if you like, because the potential that we have as a football club in Scotland is bigger than anybody else's. And I've always said that. And unfortunately, over the last 20, 25 years, mate, we've not seen that happen. And this is the type of owners with Kavanagh and the backing of the 49ers that I genuinely believe we could look at and say, the world is our oyster here in terms of, certainly in terms of Scottish football. We can and should be looking to maximise and squeezing every penny out of it that we can.
Yeah, well, he certainly speaks. People asking what about Nike, what about the old club shop, and that is ongoing, folks. He did say that they're still looking at ways and what's best to do with that space. With Nike and sponsors and better deals and sponsors of the stadium, they're open, but it would be depending on what any investor and sponsor says. I kind of covered that. Question next one was talking about away allocations. Club are met consistently with resistance, especially from clubs who now feel that they are challenging Rangers and will no longer give us the away allocation we once had. The rules are pretty vague around the 5%, and then police get involved in what you can and can't get. Rangers are very much trying to influence and lead. They're very much trying to offer teams more in exchange for more, but that's not really happening. Rangers are on every league committee and board, and they feel like they are trying to influence that, but it is difficult because a lot of clubs now are saying that they are equal Rangers and we no longer want to give you the full end of stadiums like we used to have. It's pretty easy to work out who they are, folks, when we talk about that. Questions about the academy. The club will continue to try and make sure that players understand that we're the best place to be. And, you know, we just have to watch that kind of thing. It was, again, a kind of stock answer. Another question regarding the transfer window. It was made clear to Andrew Cavanagh that we really do have a chance to win this league. So what's his plans? He reiterated that he needs 4 kind of entities to agree a deal. The player, the 2 clubs, the agent. That's why it takes a while. January is very difficult, and he has to cast the net to understand availability to see who's out there and things like that. Rangers are very, very active in the transfer market. Would have been active regardless. He kind of reiterated again. He said depth in left back, strong physical ball carrier midfield, and he wants more creation and scoring of goals. So we had some discussion around kickoff times, football and strategy, and you know, more to look at the kind of match day sponsors and things like that as well. David French, Chief Commercial Officer, we covered that. It started on Monday, so he's in the building. He's given a clear brief of expectations. And there was questions about where we would play and what we would tour and what we'd do next summer. Nothing's kind of been decided, but priority will always be around our sporting requirements, not commercial, i.e. he wouldn't take us to America or Australia or whatever just for money. It's always going to be surrounding what the club are doing as sporting wise and what Danny Rule wants to do, not financially. Last question was, and I answered it, was a very quick one. I asked it rather. You may remember a couple of years ago, I had a number of interviews with senior executives at a football club, James Bisgrove, James Taylor. A lot of the staff at Ibrox came on. And would the club once again be open to fan media podcast? Would the chairman come on the fan media podcast? Would he come on? And one of my points was that a lot of people feel like a thing today with Andrew Cavanagh is closed off, and the normal fan, and I'm a normal fan, by the way, I don't mean that disparagingly. I mean that people have to read about it instead of being invited along themselves. And if one of the guys or executives like Fraser Thornton or Andrew Cavanagh himself would come on to the podcast and speak to the fans directly and let us ask them the question, then I think it would be well received. And are the club open to that? And the club do and are open. They want clearer communication and access to decision makers. So that's something that they're open to, and we are allowed to ask also. So that's something we'll consider doing as a podcast. I don't mean only 4 lads. I mean hat in hand. This is Ibrox, follow, whoever the intention is. Can we get it out to the support so that they can be a part of it instead of them hearing about it from me and feeling like they aren't involved in it. We're there to try and represent and get questions to them that they want answered, and I hope we do that. But could we make it more expanding out to everybody? And that was it, Kenny. 90 minutes Andrew Cavanagh gave us. There was nothing said off topic or off camera, rather, that we couldn't discuss, really. And everything was covered. So, again, it was a very open, very good conversation. And Andrew Cavanagh, again, expressed his thanks and his willingness to do it more repeatedly.
Yep. A very thorough and open and frank kind of discussion by the sounds of things, mate. And I like the idea that, I mean, you've had James Bisgrove and James Taylor on and stuff like that before. However, I do like the idea that the new owners are prepared to look at that and understand that without being a knob about this, mate, right? I'm going to kind of lay this flat and on the line that a lot of Rangers fans, me included, I don't buy newspapers. I don't click the links. I don't get involved with them. I've watched their hatred or disdain or whatever way you want to put it for us over years, and just will not give them a penny. I just point blank refuse to. So I would much prefer it if they, and I know they can go through Rangers channels, the TV and the website and all that, but naturally they've got to get the story completely out there, and I don't think there's a better way of doing it than through fan media. It would be great to have those that are the decision makers at Ibrox, the guys that are pulling the strings, and get an insight into how they feel about how things are going and stuff like that. Because, as I say, meetings like this today are fantastic. They genuinely are. They give us an insight. They allow us to sit here and talk about it and express it to everybody else. Most of this is all kind of news to me. I've seen some bits and bobs, but being able to sit here and talk to you about it for 40 minutes or whatever it's going to be is fantastic. And I'm sure that everybody else is sitting listening is looking at it and saying, how good would that be if Stevie could get Andrew Cavanagh to sit for an hour, whether it be in a studio or online or whatever, and sit and talk about his vision for Rangers and what he really wants, and get that one-to-one, that intimacy, if you like, where you can get a proper insight into him. Because I'll tell the viewers, I mean, when we met him in the press room, you could tell he was very guarded, and you could tell it was press, and he was quite guarded. I mean, he was lovely, a really nice man, but he was quite guarded about what he said, and I do feel that's because of the environment that he was in. Whereas if you can get him at ease and sit there and talk about it, and you can tell, you know, when you see pictures of him last month in the New York Rangers Supporters Club and sitting there with his hoodie on and stuff like that, you can tell he is deeply, deeply involved here. He's got emotionally involved as well, and that's where, for me, it's one of those things, Stevie, that was the biggest take that I took from all of that. That when I read the quick notes, and then you saying that to me is probably the thing that I would love to see most. Because, as I say, for somebody like me, and I'm pretty sure there's an awful lot of Rangers fans out there that are the same, they won't buy newspapers, they won't click on the links. So even if he's talking to the media, there's an awful lot of Rangers fans won't get involved in it. And I do feel that, and I'm a slightly off tangent here, but I do think that last week Danny Rule managed to do that as well, when he turned around and said, and it must be the first time in many, many years, Stevie, that immediately after the preceding game in an Old Firm game, he was the one that got, we need a strong referee in first. Celtic do that every single time, and they didn't this time. We did. We got it in first. And there's to me, there's now a beginning to be an understanding at the highest echelons of the football club that influence is the most important thing within Scottish football. When he's talking about the CEO and what he needs, when Danny Rowe's talking about that, when Andrew Cavanagh's talking about the media and stuff like that, I'm delighted with what I've heard. I've got to say.
Okay, let's move on. Tackle the bad news first. Injuries. Dujon Sterling and Conor Barron are injured. Mikey Moore also has a muscle injury, but not feared to be as bad. You'll find out probably from the manager tomorrow. Dujon does have a hamstring strain, and Conor Barron has injured his knee. You're going to ask me the extent of it. I know you are. I asked the club today and was promptly blanked. Rangers do not discuss injuries with anyone. There has been rumours, and the rumours, quite frankly, are 8 weeks, 12 weeks out for the rest of the season, knee in a brace, etc., etc. Every single person that gets injured always automatically goes in a brace, and then they'll go for a scan. Conor Barron won't have been scanned yet because he still would have swelling, and that normally happens a couple of days later. I think you'll get an answer from Danny Rule, which expects he'll be a mid to long-term injury, and that we just need to wait and see. That isn't good news in the slightest for us, especially as Conor Barron was coming back. So for Conor Barron, especially in a World Cup year, when he would have been dying to represent Scotland, I think is really tough on him. I've said it before, and I get quite a lot of stick. Conor Barron's a player that I like. I finally started to see him play the way that I feel he can, and I feel that others were starting to appreciate them. So I'm pretty gutted for Conor. He's a lovely lad and all. Comes from a lovely family as well. So I'm pretty gutted for Conor. Here's the other side of it, and you all tune in to see Stevie swear and get a bit pissed off about things. I'm really pissed off with Dujon Sterling. If it's a hamstring strain 2 nights after he's been out in the piss, and he does what he does, that begins to fuck me off, because your whole recovery and everything else, that's not right for me. And I can understand why other people are criticising him also. What happened and what Dujon Sterling did is a mistake, and I refer back to the other night and say that the football club should be the ones that deal with that, and every young person makes mistakes. I get that, and I understand that, and I am absolutely, it should be the club that deal with that. But in terms of preparation and looking after yourself, Kenny, and being fit and being enough that you're ready for a game on a Tuesday night, and you're in that state 48 hours beforehand, and then you pick up a muscle injury like that pisses me off greatly. So park the stuff that, and by the way, especially from a guy it's been like a rich tea biscuit since he arrived. He's consistently injured. The slightest thing he gets injured, he's been back a month, and he's already out again, for another 4 weeks with a hamstring strain or whatever. That to me is really annoying. I hope we get better news around it. But Dujon Sterling, for me, when you do things like the other night and get in that state, it happens. People make mistakes. It shouldn't happen when you've got a game on a Tuesday night. You should put yourself first, and it's pretty selfish in my opinion. Let the club deal with the rest of it. But as us as a support, we've got a right to be pretty pissed off with him putting himself in that position and 2 days later finding out he's yet again injured. That's my take on it. I'm not rubbishing him. I'm not saying get rid of him. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying I'm pissed off with it. Club can deal with the rest of it, and they should deal with it. And I don't condone that in the slightest. But from a Rangers point of view, as a fan, looking at that, him putting himself in that position, etc., then getting injured, it's not for me.
No, I understand what you're saying. Excuse me. It's a difficult one to overly go in on him for me, because listen, a lot of people are correlating the what's happened at the weekend with the injury, and I can understand why. At the end of the day, if you are pissed effectively and you're not looking after, you've made a mistake, right? And it's not a good one. It's a terrible one. And you're putting other people at risk, and I don't agree with that, and I never will. However, see, first and foremost, with a football player, you need to look after yourself. And the dehydration levels when you're drinking, when you've got a game 2 days later, is nuts. To me, it's just nuts. With all the facilities that Rangers have, with everything that's available to them in the modern game, Stevie, There's no excuse for not looking after yourself. The mistake's one thing, and as you say, the club will deal with that internally, and that's fine. And he's in he's at the mercy of a coach now because of it, and that is also fine. He'll just need to live with that and what the consequences are. But in terms of his own body, Stevie, a guy that's been injured for that amount of time, now forget all the previous injuries, just that he's just coming back from a serious injury to get himself into this situation. I'm not impressed, I've got to say. We've sat here the last few days with a bit of tongue on it because we don't know exactly the entire story. But no, when you realise, listen, this is pretty much of your own doing. No, you can't accept that as a fan, because at the end of the day, the boy's been paid well. We are forking out week in, week out in that football club. You've got a responsibility to yourself, to your employees, to the football club, to us. You've got a responsibility to everybody, but first and foremost to yourself. And he's not even looking after himself. So I'm disappointed more than angry. I've got to be honest. I'm just disappointed in the boy. On Conor Barron, I'm gutted for him, because for him as a person, as a player, because he's probably hitting the top form I've seen him in all my days. So disappointed that he's going to be out for a wee while. However, we will wait and see just how bad the injury is. We don't know, and I certainly don't. I don't know if you get any insight to that, but I certainly don't know exactly how bad it is. But let's hope that it's short to medium term, Stevie. That's all I would say. Could be, if it's ligaments, it depends how. I mean, I've done my knee ligaments about 4 times, mate. And it depends how badly he's either snapped them or stretched them or whatever it is. So we don't know yet, but we'll wait and see. But I'm gutted for him, as I say. Disappointed in Dujon Sterling, but gutted for Barron on a personal level, because he was just beginning to maintain and hold down his place, and might not be a first pick, so to speak, your first, in your first name in your team sheet, but he was a first pick in your midfield at this minute in time. So disappointed for the lad.
I've never done my knee ligaments. Some of you might say that's because I'm an athlete, and you'll be absolutely correct. Or some of you might say it's because my knees need to be sturdy to the strength of my big gut. But it's up to you. I've lost weight, Let's go on to some good news. Rangers are closing in on a double signing. Just after talking about it last night, £3 million will be spent on Tour Romans, the young left back, and also £4 million on midfielder Toshi Shukwani. I'm going to hate this. I'm just going to call him Chuck. That's going to be good for me. Sturm Graz, we know about him. They're on the kind of brink of accepting that offer for Rangers. I'm not sure it's quite as advanced as what some are reporting, but I do expect him now to be here. Got sent off as well against Celtic for that perfectly fine challenge to me on Callum McGregor. I'm not going to say that Callum McGregor deserved it, because I'm not like that. But it looks like he's on his way. That deal seems to have been accepted, and he's on his way to Glasgow now. 22 years old, played for Belgium at youth level. Apparently attracted a lot of interest. Rangers have won the race with about a £3 million bid. Rangers did have the same bid rejected by Ike Athens for James Penrice, according to reports as well. So it looks like that deal is done. He seems to be quite athletic, very good defender on one-on-ones, I've read. Got the kind of physical stature. We do seem to buy left backs that are of the mighty 5-foot variety. There was a time where I thought maybe I would get a game, but it seems like that deal is done, Kenny. We needed a left back. I've got to be honest, right? I'm not going to sit here and say anything. I don't know a lot about these boys at all. The midfielder that's coming in seems to be, he came through the same former teammate as Mohamed Diamandi at Nordsjælland, and he came through that academy, didn't he? Actually, very interesting. One of the guys I follow on Twitter that used to work there was talking about him the other day. I'll see if I can find that to kind of bring that up, because I thought that was interesting. But what do you make of that, Kenny? 2 signings in. It's got to be, I'll be honest with you, I'm delighted they're on their way. It's got to be the first 2 of what I hope will be 4 coming in January.
Yeah, exactly. I would like to see more come in. I'd like to see a few leave. I'm going to be honest and say I don't know who. I don't know anything about either of them really. I know we played against Chukwami. Is that his name? That is going to be torture.
Just call him Chuck, mate, or Jim.
Yeah, Chalk. We'll call him Chalk, right? And that'll just have to do him. But he's a big, imposing lad. I think he's got a bit of pace about him as well. So hard to judge him on the game that we played against them, Graz, because we were awful. So it's difficult to see to turn around and pretend that I know much about him, because I know he was I know he played against us, but I don't know much else. I know he gets sent off against Celtic. Very unfortunate, in my opinion.
Definitely a poor decision.
I was referees, mate. They're not right. You know that. But on the left back, I'm delighted with that, because Magoma, I think, has been a fantastic capture this season. I think he's done really, really well. But by goodness, he's 19 years of age, and we have strangled every ounce out of that kid so far. So he could do with a break, or at least a bit of a rotation. And I think that I would fully expect that's going to happen. My only concern now, Stevie, is if Conor Barron is out for any length of time, I think we need another midfielder. I genuinely do think we're going to need another one. So that becomes a bit of an issue, because I think if Conor Barron was to be out for 2 weeks, I think we'd be okay. If he's to be out for 2 months, I don't think we will be. I think we're going to need another midfielder. And you're going to have to look at that, and perhaps there's a few boys in the comments there saying that the rumour is that we've signed David Watson on a pre-contract, and I would be turning around and saying that you might want to actually turn around and just give them a few 100,000 if we can, and get that deal done quickly, if that is the case.
Yeah, there's been rumours of that. There's been rumours of Cammy Devlin at Hearts as well. They remain rumours until they become concrete. I certainly haven't heard anything about David Watson being a done deal or anything. I've not even heard rumours of being interested in him. So, do we need somebody else? Bayrami's back in a few weeks, which should help the kind of forward positions. I'm with Andrew Cavanagh. This team needs goals. This team needs threats. The way he was talking, we need creation and goals. So that looks to me like a couple are coming in. So I would really like that. We do need somebody that's going to create, and we absolutely need somebody who's going to put the ball in the net. We have individuals like Majowski, like Chermiti, like Danny, who have shown they can finish chances. What they haven't shown is they'll be prolific and engineer their own chances and create their own chances. They can't do that. So do we need somebody else? The answer is yes. Lyle Cameron could come in midfield. If Connor's going to be out, could we put him in there possibly? Could that stop him leaving on loan? Potentially, we never know. Football can change like that. We've seen it with Chermiti. We'd all written him off. Then he has a good game. Then he scores twice at Parkhead. Now everybody wants him to be our starting number 9 ahead of everybody else. Lyle Cameron could come on for 20 minutes at Pittodrie at the weekend and get the winner, and all of a sudden it changes his Rangers career. Nothing's over. It never is at Rangers. We've seen countless players quickly recover things, Kenny. So, it's going to be interesting if we are getting these boys in, which reportedly they are both extremely close to Romans and Chalky Chukwuani. Never going to get better at saying that. £7 million is a lot to say, a lot to spend in January, with potentially 2 more coming in. Speculated on the podcast a month ago and said it was rumoured that we would have anywhere between 10 and £15 million to spend. If Andrew Cavanagh is doing that again, we're certainly backing Danny Rule. linked with the boy at centre back as well. That was linked in the summer. I can't even remember his name offhand. On a Bosman, could we go and get somebody like that? Potentially, we'll just need to wait and see. Honestly, folks, I am not in the loop for any potential deals. I normally hear about it, as people know, when it's later down the line. It very rarely do I break these things because I just generally don't know. So yeah, there was also rumours this afternoon. We're sniffing around Bowie from Hibs, and that to me would be excellent. Same type of profile as Chermiti. The other night when Chermiti went off, we had nothing up front. It happened a couple of times now. I think St Mirren the same thing as well. So we need to try and bridge that. Would I take Bowie? I would take Bowie in a heartbeat. So yeah, there's plenty of speculation, which is good for us. Thank you very much, Paul. Paul says it's Javier Mubiyamba. Oh, Christ. Imagine he came as well, Kenny. Like, this is a nightmare for me. Start signing guys called Jim Taylor or something. You know what I mean? Jeez, oh man. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be plenty of excitement, I think, for us in the coming weeks, folks. Not going to keep you much longer. I hope that we've done all right in giving you an update from today's forum, an update on the injury and the signing news as well. We are back again tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Andy and Mark are on. For those of you that are going to New Edmondson House to see Fan Media Live podcast, myself, David Edgar, Heart and Hand, and CJ Novo, it is sold out, ladies and gentlemen. We have sold out New Edmondson House, which is an absolute buzz. So really looking forward to meeting everybody, almost everyone. Kenny, as always, mate, an absolute pleasure. Thank you. A drop of a hat as normal, and you're here on with me, mate. I really appreciate it.
No, not at all, mate. I'm quite intrigued to see and listen to you and see what Andrew Cavanagh and the rest of the people, the staff or employees or whatever you want to call it, that were there at Rangers today had to say. Very interesting. And I think we're in safe hands, Stevie. That's what I would say more than anything else. I think we've got owners there that have our very best interests at heart. And yeah, I just feel that it's one of those things that when having listened to everything that he said, the fact that he's turned around and said effectively that the first team is the number one priority, and there will be a pyramid effectively that will work its way down from there, is absolutely music to my ears. That's the most important thing at our football club. You get a successful first team, your commercial revenue will turn up, your hospitality revenue will increase, your women's team, your academy, everything can follow, because the more you win, mate, the more money you make. It is that simple. And it's guaranteed, because a successful team attracts bigger, revenue in every street. So it is that way. And I think it might well be that what he said, more than anything else, Stevie, about the club had maybe lost its way over the last few years, and they're trying to rectify that now, is probably the biggest thing that I've taken out of this tonight. That there's been a realisation. I think he called it a mini Premiership club or something like that, is the way it was put. And I think he's spot on. So the fact that that has been acknowledged and recognised leaves me with a good feeling about where we're going. So thank you for keeping me in the loop.
No, not at all. Listen, I've said it before, I don't take these things for granted. It is a privileged position to be able to speak to these people, speak to the manager, speak to the players. I do try my very best on behalf of everybody. I don't feel that I'm speaking for anyone. I don't feel that I'm that important, but I do hope that I try and get answers for people, and we try and share whatever news we have. So I hope that people have enjoyed the podcast. If you have enjoyed it, do you know what would be nice? Give us a wee follow on YouTube. That really helps us. And if you want to comment, tell us what you like about the show. Tell us what you don't like. If you tell us that me and Kenny rabbit on too long, then I know that already, so you don't need to tell us, me especially. But if you've got questions, if you've got things that you would like to see on the show, then say to us. What's up, mate? What have I done?
No, nothing. We both know that we both rabbit on far too long. But
no, we say we'll go on for half an hour and it's 55 minutes. So apologies to everyone, but there's 4,000 of you watching. and we absolutely love it. We really appreciate all the support. As I said, if you could like and follow on YouTube, that really helps us. We're well past 12,000 followers now, 12,000 subs. Every time we get more subs, we can do more things. We can say to the club, can we get Andrew Cavanagh on? Because we do have this platform here and people do listen. And the numbers lately have been fantastic. So thank you. If you want to become a member and get access to some extra shows, but ultimately support the pod, you can. The QR code's in the top corner that way. Yep, up that way somewhere. And it's from as little as 99p a month. That helps support us. It's not a necessity, so please don't feel obliged. You don't have to. All the free shows will continue. You just do get some perks, extra shows. Chris Burke is the current interview we have with the ex-players on the Rangers years, and also you can watch all the pods ad-free and stuff like that as well. You also get a chance to ask us any questions you want, get a follow on social media and stuff like that. It's just a thank you from us to you. So yeah, we really appreciate you joining. If you have done all those things, and we really appreciate it. Huge thanks to our sponsors, Rhino Express, Cliveview Fire Protection and Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, our very own Amrit's Candid, and our Sunday Show local dark shop online. Huge thank you to everybody. I think we've sold 5 of the 4 Lads hats as well, so we've already got 60 odd pounds sitting there waiting to go to charity. Once I get the hat posted out for everybody, we'll get that money to a chosen charity as well, which we do. We've not done any of that for profit. So just so happened Amrit gave us some of these hats. We've got some left, and people have asked for the opportunity to get them. So I'm going to post these out the next couple of days to everybody. Thank you for your support with that. I've emailed everybody back that emailed about them as well. So thank you, everybody. Support is unbelievable. Really appreciate you tuning in tonight. We hope that you've enjoyed the podcast. Hope that it was some information gathered for you all as well. Alan Austin, deeply dippy about the show you do. Yeah, we appreciate it. Something like that. On behalf of Kenny and I, thanks very much, folks. Remember the pod
I'm
tomorrow.
too sexy, mate. That's what it is. I'm just too sexy.
I'm not saying anything about sex. Right. On that note, I shall see you all later. How do we get one before I go? You can email 4ladshadadream@gmail.com. 4 is spelled 4, not the number 4. Get in contact with us and we'll try and help you out. As I said, folks, we'll be back tomorrow night at later time of 8 o'clock because it's Mark and Andy. We'll be back, Kenny, possibly Sunday afternoon after the Aberdeen game. We'll do the Sunday show and review everything that went on at Pittodrie, and hopefully our Rangers win. Take care, folks. Thanks for joining us, and we'll speak to you all again soon. Bye for
The 4 Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Cliveview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.